Oh, hello everyone. I hope you're all well. This is Susie from Esoteric Trading Solutions. I hope you're being kind to yourself, looking after yourself, being kind to your family and friends, looking after your putty cats, your beautiful animals, any animal that you've got, you're looking after them. I had some lovely people, some of my clients actually pick up some animals from, stray animals and now looking after them. So that makes me very happy. And please just be kind to people in the world. This world is getting more and more unkind every day. So the title of this presentation today is XRP Ripple. It's not FUD, it's facts. And this is all the news that's come out since August the 13th to the 6th of September. And honestly, every time I do this and I look at the news, I get more and more excited because honestly, Ripple and XRP just have so much great stuff coming out. And every time I go through this, every month or every 2 months, it effectively just makes me realise how good this company is and how good this technology is. It is first class, honestly. And yet you get so many people out there, so many FUDders out there, and even Ripple's own investors in terms of the XRP that are just so impatient. It takes a long time sometimes for the market and for people out there, the populace, to understand this new technology. Now, a lot of people just don't understand the technology. If you go out into the street and just ask people about cryptocurrency or ask them about XRP, they don't know what you're talking about. They've heard about Bitcoin, but they still don't understand what Bitcoin is. Now, when you go out into the street and try this anywhere you live, if all of a sudden people start to understand exactly what XRP is and its technology, then you'll get mainstream usage and then the price will go through the roof, okay? I've got no doubt in my mind. People keep asking me, am I still as bullish as I was 2 years ago? A matter of fact, I'm even more bullish. Bullish means I'm even more optimistic. The more I read, the more I see. It just takes time. It's like Apple when it came out. It's like any of these new technologies that came out. And I'll do another presentation on that because it takes time. We've got 7.7 billion people in the world and, at least a billion of these people need to know what Ripple is in XRP, but they don't. And when that happens, there will be no supply. And when there's no supply, the price will go through the roof, okay? And I'm adamant with that. Hand on heart, this is where it's going, hand on heart. It's not investment advice. I'm not an investment advisor. I am an investor like you, and I believe with all my life and all my heart and everything else that I've made the right investment decision for me, without a doubt in my mind, okay? And it just makes me laugh when I read so much FUD about XRP and Ripple. Okay, so I'm on record. Again, I stick by what I put out there in terms of valuation, 383 US or whatever it might have been. I've done another valuation, which is even higher than that, which will be on Udemy soon. But look, this is going somewhere and it will. It just needs people who understand it. People understand equities. They don't understand cryptocurrency and Ripple and XRP. It's like MoneyGram. Ever since they've been using XRP, their stock's gone through the roof, okay? And yet MoneyGram doesn't even own, doesn't own the technology of Ripple. So, put this in perspective, right? Ripple owns their technology. Ripple's cryptocurrency of XRP should be higher than where it is because that'll come with lack of supply, okay? Lack of supply. And then God knows where the price of XRP is going to be. But I do not have a doubt in my mind about that it will be so much higher than where it is today in a 2 or 3 year view. People just have to be patient. You have shares for a long-term investment, 2 to 5 years, 10 years. You don't look at the damn thing every second of the day or every day. I sure as hell don't, because this is an investment. It's not a trading position for me. An investment for me is a minimum 2 years, okay? It could even be 2 to 5 years, could even be 10 years. And some people say, oh, I'm in my 50s, I have to wait until I'm 60? Well, you know what, if you have to wait until you're 60 and you become a billionaire, it's not a bad story, is it? Or even a millionaire. Where do you get a thing like this, a once in a lifetime, where you can make such an incredible investment? Look, even if I had to wait until 100, I would. Honestly, I really would, because the mainstream of people, it takes a long time. Most people don't even know the terms of finance. They don't even know, anything to do with finance. So let alone knowing something that is, literally rocket scientist stuff like cryptocurrency and XRP and Ripple technology. It's like Elon Musk is talking about going to the moon. People don't even understand the technology that fellow's working on. But I tell you something, the other day I got into one of those Tesla cars, electronic cars. It was amazing, absolutely incredible. And, that fellow is a genius, an absolute genius. It's just that people don't understand the genius, of using electricity for cars versus, petrol. And what Elon Musk is talking about, going to the moon, and it could take, going to another country, it could take literally an hour, because they'll literally have, stations, airports outside of the Earth, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it's just unbelievable, the technology that's coming. But anyway, let's get on with this, because there is a lot to cover, and I always go too long, and that's my apologies for that. Number one, again, there's lots of conferences. They're working with the regulators all the time. Ripple are very, very smart. They know who to work with. They know where to be. Also, XRP is one of the most talked about coins on Twitter constantly, all the time. It's more talked about generally than any other altcoin out there, because people are very interested in the technology no matter what. It has the technology, it has the clients, it has the revenue, it has the basis. So number three, again, XRP, it's got incredible rollouts, okay? The demand is increasing, Coil increasing, clients, Forte, connection of games developers with their platform for using virtual game trading. They're talking about micropayments with Coil, getting bigger and bigger, okay? They've got Vitsavind, who's one of the most incredible developers out there, doing all sorts of things. Okay, this is off Hodor, who writes some great stuff. I love his work. Again, there's a thing here about how the development and how much utility XRP is going to have going forward. As time goes on, it's going up and up and up into the billions, okay? Billions and billions is going to be utilised in terms of XRP. Okay, also, Ethan Baird said here that, there's another connection with another company, which is always great as well, building on the internet ledger. It doesn't stop, okay? Their news doesn't stop, and you'll see this, okay, as we go forward. All right, let me just go back a bit. The news, as I said, is incredible. They're becoming more and more decentralized. They have 1303 validators in 22 countries. Ripple only owns 7% of them. And again, we keep hearing about this centralization. Get a grip. Seriously, when you compare Ripple and its technology to other technologies, it has more decentralization than anyone else. So we have FUDers out there, constantly FUDers. I'm not going to name their names, because seriously, I'm not going to market these FUDers that have no idea and they just FUD, so that they can make more money out of all the people out there that listen to these FUDers, okay? These FUDers are more wealthy than I am. I'm not wealthy by any means, and I'm not even well off, okay? Literally, I have to watch my money every week like everyone else, okay? These FUDers make a lot of money by telling the XRP community, people that hold XRP, false lies, okay? Completely false lies, that's for sure. Now, again, we're talking about, the security test has come up about, the Howey's test and whether, XRP is a security. And we've heard this before. Seriously, the UK came out, the FSA, and said they're not a security, it's a utility. XRP is a utility that is used in the technology of Ripple. Okay, that's number one, using the technology of Ripple. XRP got listed on the Bankary Exchange, item number 6. Number 7, we keep hearing about this SEC thing because another client wants to, sue Ripple because they lost money. This is the art of investment. This is what happens. You do lose money in investments if you close out. This client is trying to get the SEC to say that XRP is a security, and if they get them to say they're a security, then the client gets paid back their loss, okay? Now, the client obviously has a vested interest in getting the SEC to say it's a security, but the reality is, under the Howey test, XRP is not a security. Now, I know there was a time back ages ago, 2 years ago or whatever, I thought XRP was a security. okay? But the thing I didn't take into account is XRP on itself, on its lonesome, is actually a utility within the technology of Ripple, okay? It stands on its own. So the reality is it's utilising the technology of Ripple, and it doesn't mean it's like a corporate ownership of a share or something like that. So it's completely different, all right? Completely different. If we go to the Howey's test, and again, just to tell people about the Howey's test if they've forgotten, the Howey's test, it was a, old story in 1946, okay? One, someone has to invest money. Yes, we've invested money. Number two, with the expectation of profit, well, generally we all do have an expectation of profit. But is it in a common enterprise? No, we don't get ownership, okay? We don't get ownership in Ripple. The utility coin, XRP, is invested in the technology of Ripple, but we don't get the ownership. So again, on item 3, it's not in a common enterprise. And are the profits derived from the efforts of others? Well, again, it depends on how you define are the profits derived from the efforts of others. Okay, the XRP coin goes up with utility and a lack of supply. Okay, goes up with utility first. So it's utility. And the UK recognises that as a utility. Okay, item 8, which I thought was interesting, BXI, which is a new exchange, saw some pretty much, if you wanted to call it, some big hitters in that exchange trying to decrease the price of XRP quite dramatically with huge manipulation. At one stage, they saw XRP's price go down 60%. So BXI, the new exchange that XRP was on, literally had to close that exchange and find out what was going on with the transactions and unwind those transactions, okay? So, and this happened on August 12th, which was pretty amazing. So they halted the trading activity, which is the right thing to do by the exchange. Stop trading activity, just like you do in the equity market. Then when there's a halt, when a stock's gone up too much or gone down too much, they have a 5-minute or a 6 minutes or whatever it might be window to halt whatever's going on, and they look into it. So BXI basically had to close down the trading of XRP to find out what was going on, and all those transactions were actually unwound, okay? If we look at this, basically company Ripple intends to create more investments and acquisitions, and there is a lot underway. So we are finding that Ripple is investing in other companies that can use XRP. And basically they announced that $1 billion was being given to Coil, which is about 265 million, which is a big, big investment. That's huge, okay? Absolutely huge. Now, Coil intends to monetize all the micro small payments using XRP, okay? And interestingly enough, Coil, and I use Coil, they're in competition with YouTube, okay? We don't get paid a lot of money on YouTube. Matter of fact, I earn about 150 Australian dollars a month, and that's it. I don't sell any other product, and that's all I earn for YouTube. I don't get any donations or anything like that. People just don't give money out in donations no matter what you do. People expect all the information for free, which is unfortunate because, I do a lot of work and I don't get paid for it. And I'm not banging on about that. But the thing is, with Coil, what they want to do is basically have content creators like myself be paid for the work they do. And in some ways, they're going to be directly in competition with YouTube. And I believe that that will happen because you do have to pay for it on Coil, which I think is very interesting in itself, okay? So if we look at just more and more information going through, again, Ripple's been accused by Peter Brandt that, there's been price manipulation. Some of the largest holders of XRP are putting in price manipulation and forcing the price of XRP down. Also, that Ripple, the owners, are forcing the price of XRP down with escrow coming out, $1 billion a month, which we'll talk about later, actually. That is another story in itself, okay? Also, Google Trends said that Ripple was on the Google Trends for more than even Bitcoin for 2018, which is quite incredible. Santander are doing big things, again, with Ripple's technology in XRP. They're planning to increase that technology usage. And again, they're talking about going into countries which they're already in, Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, Mexico, with their OnePay FX. Now, Santander is huge, okay? Mexico is a huge, huge country with a lot of people. think it's about 120 million people. Has the third largest remittance demand in the world. It's something like 36 or 40 billion off my mind. But again, this utility is going to increase and increase. Now, they're using X current, as we know, but look, Ripple's strategy is basically start with X current and then move into, XRP with X rapid, okay? They're one of the same system now. Everything, it's just a turn of a switch and you can start using XRP, not very difficult. If we keep going, there's lots of collaboration going on. Heaps of more and more is happening all the time. There's collaboration with ZenPay, who basically are using RippleNet, and they're opening up corridors in Bangladesh, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Indonesia and Thailand. Now, Bangladesh is 110 million people. Indonesia is huge. I think Indonesia is 230 million people. I was there three weeks ago or something. Indonesia is huge populace. And Ripple, again, has clients like ZenPay that are in these countries. I mean, they're in huge amount of countries. The utility going forward for XRP, when all these, platforms start using XRP as well, is going to be incredible. And they will use XRP, just like MoneyGram. What do you think Western Union's going to do now? MoneyGram are the most competitive, payment provider. FX, converter out there. Their rates are so good. And someone like Western Union is just not going to stay up with the competition. They'll lose their clients if they don't use the technology that Ripple provides. They just will lose all their clients and they'll be dead in the water, basically, okay? Absolutely. So, ZenPay is in the UK, it's in India, 1.3 billion, South Africa, which is another huge country in terms of population. They're in countries to the unbanked, and that's going to be great for Ripple to get paid all that money for these clients to use their technology. They get paid a lot of money. That's why the cash balance is going up all the time. But also, eventually, they will use XRP, and that utility will be higher and higher, and the supply will be lower and lower. You've got to look at the big picture, okay? The big picture is the utility is getting bigger and bigger, and the supply will get lower and lower. There's 50 billion in escrow, and, that will come down within the next couple of years, and by 2025, there will be mainstream usage of XRP, mainstream, okay? Now, I know it's 2019, but time goes very fast. And, this usage could escalate quite quickly in the next 1 to 2 years, okay, massively. Vitsavin also, put something together about the holdings in XRP. What are some of the big XRP holders? And some are like 14 million or so. But, we've seen huge transactions over the month of August and September, whale transactions where we saw something like 485 million being transacted from China. So again, there's some heavy hitting, huge whale transactions going through for XRP, okay? So let's go to the next slide. Item 17. Again, there's so many wallets and there's so many whale alerts, ongoing whale alerts for XRP. XRP, yes, we know, has had very poor performance, and we know there's been lots of shorters on the XRP cryptocurrency, even though that's been reduced. But there is just ongoing interest in XRP and more clients using XRP. SBI, one of their biggest supporters, said that they're going to be offering their shareholders opportunities to use the virtual currency XRP, and it's a virtual currency app, and they will be giving away XRP coins, okay? Now, this would have been obviously, crypto area would have basically, given you big details about this, but this is fantastic for the usage, the utility of XRP, okay? Now, again, Michael Arlington, is backing another fund of $200 million, which will eventually invest in XRP, which is a great story in itself. Item 22, more and more developers are on the back of of XRP and the technology. It's, whether it be cobalt or whether it be coil or whatever. XRPs are expanding the utility of XRP. Even though sales have decreased sometimes in quarter on quarter, the overall projection is increased utility. Okay. Now, there are petitions out there just recently that some of the XRP holders or investors were unhappy because of escrow, the billions of dollars that have come to the market every month that they allegedly say is putting pressure on the XRP token down. Now, the crypto market, as you know, has been down for the last 2 years. Okay, let's put this in let's put this in reality, put it in some sort of perspective. The market's been in a bear market for 2 years, okay? Even BTC, even Bitcoin, got up to 20,000, now it's down to 10,000, okay? The overall market for alts is down literally 80% for some alts. So I think it's very unfair for this sort of petition to come out when the overall cryptocurrency market has been in a negative, okay? That's number one. Number two, the XRP $1 billion that comes out from escrow, if it doesn't get sold, it goes back to escrow. It doesn't stay out on the market and overhang over XRP. So the crypto investors that put out this petition don't really understand how escrow works. What doesn't get sold to the institutional investor or the exchanges, which is like an institutional investor, goes back to escrow and then gets added onto escrow. It doesn't overhang on the market. Now, another thing, we can't stop whales from manipulating XRP prices, just like any other cryptocurrency out there. Even though exchanges are trying to stop that, and we saw that with Bexy, they will cancel transactions if they're not done accordingly. And also with know your own client rules, like with Bexy, they can stop these investors from dumping stock. You're not allowed to do it in other markets, and there shouldn't be any reason why you can't do it within the cryptocurrency markets. Okay. There's been all this talk about the inflation rate running at 27% for XRP, and I can tell you that's absolutely incorrect. The $1 billion doesn't sit out in the market. It actually, anything that's not sold comes back and goes back to escrow. And again, this is what Brad Garlinghouse said as well, and he confirmed exactly what I believe. Everything else is XRP FUD. Honestly, people out there are making a fortune through XRP FUD, and they don't even have the expertise or the knowledge of markets, sitting on a front desk or settlements, and they're making a fortune. They're not dummies by any means because they're making a lot of money, but they actually don't know anything about the reality of the truth of the technology of Ripple, which really sort of annoys me a lot. Okay, so there is FUD out there, and the FUD is incorrect. Absolutely. So Brad's comments were, spreading FUD is just FUD. Look at the facts. Okay? The reality is, XRP is not a security, it's a utility. The person that's, literally trying to sue Ripple is trying to get it as a security so they get their money back. Now, every time we make an investment into markets, there is risk. We can't go back, to an issuer and say, give us our money back. That's just crazy. We take on that risk of an investment or a trading position. We can make money or we lose money. We don't know whether we're going to make money or lose money, and that's why we have stop losses in place. But if it's for an investment, we have a different, a different standard for our investments compared to trading, okay? And I do certainly. Now, again, XRP sales go up and down depending on the client or the institution, but what is not sold goes back to escrow. Okay, it goes back to escrow and it doesn't overhang on the market. It doesn't go through a dealer panel like bonds do or like the equity market, where the dealer panel, like the banks, will sell the stock because they still have it on their books and they don't want the risk. XRP overhang goes back to escrow. It doesn't have a dealer panel where, the banks or their dealer panel membership is actually selling excess supply of XRP. So that's not true. Number three, they report everything, Ripple, and they report and they have full transparency, and it's fact. not view. And I agree with Brad Garlinghouse on this. It's fact, not view. Go into, Ripple's live ledger, look at it, I mean, people that say it's, a scam, and they're not even looking at the facts, and they make so much money out of FUD. It is just frustrating, I have to say. Again, fact, Ripple is more decentralized than other technologies outside there, including Bitcoin and including Ethereum. Ethereum has, and I've said this before, and I feel like I'm repeating myself, and sorry if I am, but I just get frustrated, has 3 main miners that control the validity of their transactions. Again, Bitcoin has 5 main miners that validate their transactions and let their transactions go through. And they could do a 51% attack easily. Forget about the nodes. It's who controls the validation of the transactions that's important. Now, again, Ripple's ledger has been literally 50 million ledgers and so many transactions that have gone over that ledger, in a 7-year period. They've never had a 51% malicious attack, ever, okay? And most of the time, they're settling cash within 3.5 seconds. 3.5 seconds, okay? Not 45 minutes or an hour, 2 hours or 3 hours or 10 hours or 16 like Bitcoin, okay? Again, the ledger system is incredible. I have to say that. Now, as I said, 51% attack on the network has never happened. Even the CEO has confirmed that, and certainly, the developers, have confirmed that as well. Okay, it's never ever happened. All right, never happened. You've got Arthur Brito, who designed the XRP ledger, said, it's pretty amazing. You've got David Schwartz, who said the same thing, and they've never had any problem in nearly 50 million ledgers, okay? Never had any problem. The system has never been down and there's never been an attack. Now, this month also, in August, we had PNC Treasury Management confirm that they're going live with RippleNet. Now, they're a very large US bank. They have 400 billion in assets, and they have 8 million clients. We're talking massive client base here, and we're talking about a massive client for Ripple. Okay, massive. RippleNet itself is active in 40 countries, 6 continents, all over the world, literally all over the world. Have huge, transactional base everywhere, and is very, very efficient. Very efficient. Next one. There's a FinNext conference in the US, and Director of Corporate Payments, Ryan Gaylor. Ripple is basically everywhere it needs to be. Seriously, these guys are everywhere they need to be. This fellow was discussing the partnership with Santander, and saying that the risk for using XRP is lower than the risk for fiat, which is correct, because in XRP, it's only taken 3.5 seconds to settle. There is literally no settlement risk, no credit risk, and no volatility, or price movement risk like there is fiat. Fiat has much more price movement risk than XRP, okay? Again, amazing. Now, we also, as I said before, we've seen heaps of big whale positions being moved, in the last couple of weeks, and there was one here for 522 million XRP, 132 million US, going from one wallet to another. It's almost like dormant accounts, but they're moving, between different wallets. X-Spring program brought to light that there's a lot of different projects that are being partnered with, Forte, Coil, all these here, and more, partnerships happening that are XRP based. So in the future, there'll be more utility of XRP. So let's just go through this. Gosh, this is always so long. I'm really sorry about this. More incredible news. They've hired an incredible fellow called Ron Haymond. Now, Ron Haymond was a part of the government, And he was a part of the team that crafted the Token Taxonomy Act, and basically that would exclude cryptocurrency for classifications as security. Now, again, Ripple are always onto these things. They have an incredible team of people, and they always hire the right people to address the right crucial issues. Okay, this fellow is amazing and has got amazing experience. And you'll find, again, that XRP will be a utility. This is an old story, seriously. CoinGate, another exchange, said that XRP is doing more volume now than ever before. The utility, again, is increasing. But again, we're not seeing it in price, which is just ridiculous. I have to say, ridiculous, okay? We're not seeing it in price. Again, Ripple works with more than 50 governments around the world. And, they're managing all these different relationships with all these different governments, okay, to get through the regulatory hurdles so that everyone can use Ripple's technology and XRP, not just the banks. And I'll say this again, Ripple's technology is not just for the banks, it's for everyone. We all have a settlement problem. We can't get our money in 3.5 seconds if we don't use Ripple's technology. That's a fact, not FUD. That's a fact. We all have a settlement problem, and it's not just a technology for the banks like other people out there want you to want you to believe. Seriously. Utility is rising all the time, okay? All the time. President Kitao, again from SBI, is really focusing on money tap and the relationship with Ripple, and wants this application to be used, throughout Asia, and particularly throughout Japan. Now, 80% of the banks will be using Ripple's technology, and eventually will be going to the XRP utility token, okay, which is going to be absolutely incredible. Where Ripple is actually, focused, the populations are huge. Again, in Japan, the population is about 130 million. We're not talking about small countries here. Ripple is everywhere they need to be, where the populations are huge. Again, in the countries where there's unbanked and where there's banked, but the populations are huge, and they have a real demand for Ripple's technology and their XRP. Okay, absolutely, absolutely, and it's significant. Okay, significant. If we go to 43, Ripple's partner Kotak Mahindra has launched a trade finance transaction processing system, which again, they will need to use more of Ripple's technology. And with trade finance, it is foreign currency. So again, eventually XRP will be the play. Okay. Item 44, this is not FUD, but facts. Go to their technology system. Go to this internet address here and see all the transactions being done, for Ripple's technology and XRP. Check it out. This is not FUD. This is facts. Seriously, it has all the news here and has everything moving and telling you exactly what's going on, okay? Again, more decentralized than ever is XRP. The Ripple nodes, 7%, comparing it to Bitcoin, 58% and 57% of control. Malicious attacks can be done with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And we know that there's never been a malicious attack with Ripple technology, which is amazing, but it's not shown in price. Again, people need to understand the facts of Ripple and XRP, because seriously, the price should not be here. It should be a lot higher than where it is, a lot higher. We see cryptocurrency coins and tokens on the exchange that are so high, it's a joke. And they have no technology behind them. They have a stupid little app that doesn't work. I've seen lots of them like that. They have no clients and no real money, and they're going to fall over in the next 6 to 12 months, okay? It seems to me that people buy crap in terms of cryptocurrency, and the stuff that really works, they sell. And that is a market that has no idea, I have to say. So I'll probably get some negatives on this YouTube, but look, I've got to say what I feel and what I believe in, okay? So again, Spring SVP Ethan Beard is basically saying there's been incredible initiatives in the last year, okay? They've basically got strategic partnerships with over 20 startup companies that will be using XRP going forward. Okay, there's even a strategic partnership with the music industry, okay, with a fellow called Raise in Space, Zach Katz, okay? Something like 30,000 new songs released every day. And there's a great, strategy of technology with Ripple to go into the music industry, okay? This is big. Again, Coil founder, CEO Stephen Thomas, Coil, they're working to establish new web standard for monetization. As I said before, they've given them $1 billion as an investment, $1 billion of XRP to invest in Coil because, they're going to be eventually, in competition with YouTube that don't pay content creators much money, okay, which is incredible. Again, Ripple's XR Spring has committed $500 million worth of XRP into various companies. Now, again, Ripple can reduce their supply very easily by, giving $1 billion out to every new company that's going to use XRP. Their supply can be reduced very, very quickly indeed, okay? So let's go through this very quickly. It's over 30 minutes. My apologies. It always goes too long. DBS said that, it's better technology than Swift. And I don't need to tell you guys that. It just is in all sorts of ways. And, speed, cost, whatever, okay? No counterparty risk, you name it. Provides liquidity, instant settlement, speeds up, increases trades. Can literally stop, and I believe this is a financial crisis because it increases liquidity. And, settlement straight away. With the financial crisis, you didn't have settlement straight away. It actually made it worse. I was working there. I know. People that weren't working the financial crisis, like the FUDers out there, one of the biggest ones that says that XRP is a scam and Ripple and everything else, has no idea because he's never worked in a financial market crisis. I have, and I've done it for over 35 years. Okay, so, again, Ripple's strategy is pretty amazing. MoneyGram's strategy is amazing. Look at MoneyGram's stock since they started using XRP and Ripple. It has gone up and up and up. And I do like MoneyGram very much. I think it's very cheap at the moment. Again, this is Ripple strategies, okay? Relationships with governments and FIs. Now, financial institutions don't have to be banks. They can be anyone, non-banks, non-banks, right? But again, they get the right relationships with governments and corporates and whatever. They get them to do X-Current, and then they go into X-Rapid, and then they start using XRP, okay? It's a strategy. It's a sales strategy, which is the right one. And then they start running and everyone's using XRP, and utility increases and supply goes down. Very simple. The NASDAQ also added XRP to its index. Incredible. Utility. Equins, again, is a new client of Ripple. And these guys are huge, okay? Huge. They've got an incredible network in Holland and everywhere else. They're connected to some of the big Dutch banks like Rabo and ING, which are amazing, okay? They have a lot of clients. They do over 13 billion payments, 11 billion card transactions. These guys have 320 financial institutions. Okay, they are big, okay? And, again, SBC, again, Thailand, bank is increasing to go everywhere else but Thailand. So there's utility plus, okay? XRP by the street has been rated as, for one of the best cryptocurrencies out there. And that's by the street, okay? Listen to the facts, not the FUD. Now, this month we also saw some huge transfers of XRP, from a Chinese account. And it's interesting that Instagram is now enabled the UK and European businesses to make payments in China. So China's huge, as you know, population 1.38 billion. They can now make payments into China, which is just amazing, okay? China is huge for so many things, importing, exporting mainly. They do $1 billion a day to Europe. It's just a huge market, seriously. 45 billion UK imports from China, accounting for 7% of all UK imports. Just incredible. China is huge, absolutely huge. So new markets, again, XRP has well over 200 clients. They're always adding all the time. And these are the clients. I'm not going to go through it. They're all with the regulators. It just keeps going on and on and on. Money tap is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Again, it's going to be pushed. Ripple just put on new banks on the 20. These banks are coming on, SBW and Cross River banks, which are in the US. I don't know these banks. I don't know how big they are. But again, they're putting on more and more banks. As Crypto Aries said, 20 of the biggest global banks will be using XRP by the end of 2019. The financial conglomerate SBI is very committed to pushing XRP and Ripple technologies. So it's incredible. Money Tap, again, includes 25 banks in Japan, but they've just put on even more banks in Japan. So it just goes on and on and on, which is 80% of the banking industry in Japan, okay? Ripple is everywhere. They honestly are. And again, Ripple's got some big convention happening with the OECD, which is huge, Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, which actually funds all the poor nations, all the poor countries out there. And Ripple XRP could be used to do that, okay? Because, as I said before, I've done a YouTube ages ago. It can create the multiplier effect, increase liquidity, increase gross domestic product in all those poor countries in the world. They cannot get funding from the International Monetary Fund because they don't want to have trade embargoes put on them or trade restrictions. And often that happens, and often the US leads that dialogue because they actually make investments through special drawing rights to the International Monetary Fund. Okay, so the reality is XRP has so much more flexibility than fiat money. And that is a fact, not FUD, but fact. So in my mind, XRP should be like MGI. Ripple owns the technology, but XRP is the utility, and as that utility increases, we should see a very similar chart to like MGI, okay? It's just that the market is too young, lacks knowledge, listens to the FUDders, keeps focusing on the supply. It takes time, people, for the real people out there in the world, like my parents, well, actually they're dead, but like your parents of the world, like my brother, like my sister-in-law, to understand this technology. It takes time. I'll do another YouTube about how long it takes for new technology, okay? But it does take time. Anyway, guys, that's enough from me. Sorry this went for too long, way too long. Please look after yourself. Please be kind to yourself. Be kind to your family and friends. Look after yourself. Be kind to all your animals, your beautiful animals, which I love dearly. Be kind to your just friends, and just be kind to strangers in the world, because seriously, this world is becoming an increasingly horrible, negative place. And you, as a YouTuber, I see it all the time. Seriously, you give all this information away for nothing, you don't get paid, and you still get people giving you negatives. Seriously, what's wrong with the world? Why can't people just be nice to each other? Honestly, that's my view anyway, guys. So please do look after yourselves, and God bless you. See you, babes.